Suikist.
What's that painting?
Good morning, good day everyone. My name is Pauline Trabasket. I'm a member of the Lower Smokeman Indian Band, Silks Nation. I work and live in West Bank as the executive director of our tribal organization, the Okanagan Nation Alliance, and with our sister organization, the Colville Confederated Tribes. So wonderful to see our relative Andy Joseph, chairman of the tribe, here today to join in this celebration. And all of you here, it's wonderful. This is a beautiful gathering site and one worthy of protection for today and future generations. And I think it's in that spirit, and I truly believe it's in that spirit that we're all gathered. We all want to ensure our relationships continue to grow for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren and generations to come that will benefit from our work today and have access to clean water and good food and good air and a good place and a good community to raise children and families. So with that, I've asked Mary Lou, our elder from Smilkamich, here to do the opening prayer.
I thank you for gathering your children in a manner today to be here in this valley. I ask of you to bless each one, and for whatever is put on the table will happen. I ask of you, Creator, to give your children the strength that they need. Watch over their families at home, keep each one safe. I ask of you, Creator, to open their minds and their hearts to the words that are being said today, for this is something that has been waiting to come in a long time. I thank you for that. I ask you to bless each one, and I thank everyone that's here that has come to witness, to lift up their hearts and their prayers to everyone. And I thank you for what is happening today, and I thank you for letting the sun shine. As we give the words today, that you will be listening to them. And I pray for everyone, and especially the ones where the war is, that you'll bring it to the end of that, so the families can have peace. I give you thanks, Creator, for everything, and I thank you for Pauline and Lorraine and all the work that they do, and the ones that's on the outside that has been doing a lot of work to bring this about, the chief and the manager, and I ask of you, Creator, and especially the elders. He white lim lim. White. Yeah.
There's so many people, Lim, Mary Lou, and Herman. There's so many people to acknowledge and recognize today, and the leadership provided that brought us here. And our elders from the Colville joined us as well today, our relations. One of the, and some of our cultural knowledge people from other nations are here with us today. Our allies and partners are here with us today. Our neighbors, our good friends are all here with us today. Our ancestors are all here with us today. And I just want to bring them in, as Mary Lou called them in for us, to do the best we can in a good way today. I see all of these young people here. They're going to be picking this work up. They are already. And it's not an easy journey. Our lands are beautiful. We are beautiful because our lands are beautiful. The Silks people our communities, the Smilkamilk, all throughout our lands, Turtle Island, we're all beautiful. That's the spirit in which we gather today. Not easy given, what's going on in the world, which makes this work so much more important. All the challenges. So good to see my friend and relative Dan Wilson here. Warrior, watching the northern doorway for us. Reminding our people, as a leader, as a counselor of his community in Inkamupalux, this work is not easy for our nation. But we're here to facilitate conversation and dialogue, and yes, perhaps disagreement. But let's just remember we're called upon to do our best, because we certainly are all really just trying to do our best. And with that, I want to call up Chief Keith Crow and Council.
Wahaska halt and peace naksil can limpit yap. He squeak kalupakan can tell smilkamith can tupoxum kikamut. My name's Kalupakan, and Summachin name's Keith Crow, Chief of the Lower Smokemean Band, and I just want to welcome you all here today and thank you for attending. Today it's a start to a change of things that we need to see differently within this valley, in this corridor. Our fears over the last bit have been, look at the accumulated impacts to the Smilkameen River from mining, forestry, and the Ashnola is one of the freshwater tributaries as the Smilkameen that we want to make sure it's protected in the best way we possibly can. We've had some successes over the year, the Crater Mountain burn for sheep management. We've been trying to do some more controlled burns, but we keep on getting denied. That's one of our issues. This has been a long time in the works. I can remember talking to more than 20 years ago about a gateway to the Ashnola, just hearing talk of it, never thinking of what does that actually mean and what does that look like. We see that there's more development going on up the Ashnola right now with those properties. It's always concerning. Our eyes are always open. I've hunted this area for a long time, like many of you have. The decline in animals just over 20 years. I remember coming up 20 plus years ago and you'd count 100 just driving up there. Then as soon as you got off the trail and started hiking, you'd see way more. Now you're lucky if you see one or two. That's an impact. That goes straight against what we're here to stand for and what we're fighting for. We need to start seeing change. Change is not easy. We know that, but we have to start somewhere, and this is the start. The declaration today, it's about, this came from our elders to start to look at this. What do we gotta do? Where are we gonna start? It's been in the works. Like I said, we hit COVID times. We did some struggles getting meetings together because we couldn't bring people together anymore. We're coming out of that now, but there was issues. We, as council, you're going to hear about it today. We're going to open the floor after to a family, but we couldn't reach to everyone. But today,
No, I'm going to invite others.
It's beyond that. Today is a good day for what we're going to do here. This is not about province. This is not about Canada. This is about Smilkamith people. We're going to do readings of the Declaration in Insilkshan and in English. And we're going to do a ceremony. We will be calling witnesses forward from the north, east, south, and west. And I really want to hand it out to them for being here to be able to attend today. And for all the elders that showed up, everyone that's here, this is a great turnout. I'll put it out there right now, I apologize. We didn't get the mic here somehow. That's the one thing that kind of slipped everything. We should have had our PA system here. But I'll just use my loud voice the best I can, and just want to thank you again for being here. And the stance that this is going to make for the Smilkomeath people and for local community in developing, hopefully, future partnerships. We work closely with people right now, but we want to make better partnerships as we move forward. And we will, and I'm going to state this, we are going to make the province listen. It's time. We are going to make the feds listen. Like I said, this is about us today. This is not about anyone else. And I just want to thank you again for being here. I look forward to future discussions. We're going to have more meetings coming about the plan. Our plan is in development. We have to start working on a plan. We're going to have a lot more discussions with community, elders, and people from the area. Lim, thank you for that. And does my council wish to say anything?
Why he snuck you and try to squeeze between up, Kentel, Smilkomeath, Chapak, and Moot. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. This has been a long time coming. We are trying here today to protect the water, to protect the animals, because if we continue to build where we are going, we're going to have nothing left. Most people here understand that it's about our sovereignty. It's about a lot of the people here still hunt. A lot of people still here drink from the creek. And right now, you take a look at all the areas, and we only have 3 main water systems within our reserve that is clean. And that's what the fight is for. And we're trying to protect our water systems, trying to protect our animals, because us humans, we become complacent and we just want to own everything. But we also forget about the four-legged, the ones that are in the creeks and the rivers and the streams, as well as the ones that are in our air. So we need to take a look at that, and this is why we are here today. We are fighting for the protection of not only our water, but for our animals as well.
You notice any government
because if we don't, our animals are going to go extinct. And for those that still hunt, they understand it, they see it. And you take a look at some of the deer that have ulcers. And why is that? So this is why we are here today. We're not here to cause issues. We're not here to cause problems, or even with our local community, because we all live together in this beautiful area. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank our elders for coming out, because this has been their fight. Their fight has been going on for 50 years here in the Smilkomeath to protect. And now it's come on to the up and coming generation leaders to continue that fight. And this is only one. And you take a look around us and the little ones that are here, it's going to be their fight for the next area to try and keep it protected with our water and our animals. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's a beautiful day, and I'm excited about today. Lim.
Pauline, do you want to speak Ira?
White Huskell Halti Pisnak Seal Naslak Isquis Utulau Kintil and Melkate Knasin Katantin Kinsmilkamith. Hello, good day everybody. My name is Hitulauk and my English name is Ira Edward, and I'm a Smilkomeath Seal. Also a council member for the Lower Smilkomeath Indian
Can they
Band.
do other things?
And I would first like to acknowledge everybody here today in attendance to
you know,
witness
It would have been.
a
It would have been
vision
okay with
come to
the,
life. A vision that was
with a
talked
PA,
about
but-
from our elders
okay.
for a long, long time. Some of those elders are still with us here today in community, and a lot of those elders are no longer with us. And that vision was to uphold our responsibility as Snoqualmie people to look after the water, the land, and to me all life, and to live in reciprocity with all people that enjoy it. So I just want to thank you all for being here, and I'm really excited about today, and I look forward to the relationships that we're going to have moving forward. And thank you very much.
Hey, good. Okay.
Okay. Liam,
Okay, we can go sit down.
thank you, Chief Crow and Council, Ira, Janet, John. Yes, a new post-COVID environment. It's so wonderful that we're able to do this in person, and that all of you are comfortable to do this in person that joined us today. And I just want to emphasize again that this work, this journey we're on, all Indigenous nations are doing similar things, their way, their work to protect and advance their title, their rights for all living things. And Chief Crow mentioned the declaration, and what a beautiful presentation of the thinking that has occurred generation. It's cumulative. You heard them speak of ancestors, elders past, elders here, elders coming. They're in this book in some way. They're in these words, and we're reflecting that back to you today. And we want to invite, and part of the formal agenda is witnessing that commitment and what that commitment will mean to each and every one of us. I've seen my friend Jessica Clogg here today, legal counsel here today that has helped my community come to this point. Chief Greg Gabriel is here, working with the other chiefs of the nation on this very discussion at the nation level as Syilx people. All of them busy, all of them dedicated and committed to find that pathway together. There's a lot of watersheds in our territory. And we have a lot of work to do together. And some of that work that came together from this community in this part of the agenda is going to be shared the work to bring life back to in Syilxan and English so nothing gets lost in translation is really important work and needs to be supported. I've heard of that for generations, as long as I've been involved in this work. It's hard work. Colonization, decolonization, rebuilding of relationships is hard work. And so we have beautiful language. And our community has done its best, our nation is doing its best to translate that to our settler neighbors, to our settler governments. And it does get lost, and sometimes it's not heard. So this is beautiful. It will never be dismissed. It can't be hidden. It is truth-telling today. And I want to invite Loren Trebasket and Robert Edwards to read the declaration in our language and translate it to the best of their ability in English.
Wij limnen bis nach Silch. Alla tirchste ma penaschel haltes in huiplaten dit. Ja, da ga ik squaqual minte me ge lachaptet. Het squaqual misselig. Und die ko ja tlako ullos. Und ga ik stirchste me he stiltaltet. Ga wij weekend wait om hulauch dat ja talko ulauch. Und he ko ullosa hulko squaqual mintem koksach kinach. Ga omene is heitet. En Ashnola, ik heb nog een wegmentet. Ik heb stuk gechtet een zutnist, is gelterartet. Niet al zap dikleest schwachtet. Ik heb stuk hoiplatet, het is stiltalt. Ik kiet uitschent hem jaatsel halte siulk, het hem hulauch naar schelig. Ik usmelk mich in hulwaltendet. Tot es huis. He siulk het hem hulauch, ik usmelk mich silig, he salated, ha. Hitlen gaat zintet naar stiap michach in gaat nostet. En hij tirchste miskelterartet naar hoiplatet. Ik naks, hikkel schelakkig zit hem hulauch, kult es huis. Skelgeustem, ul schut stem, hitlen gaat niet, nu ja dat zijn toe pit, hikkel melkeet. Zijn klepe, hoiplaten sikkel spochikstem. En Ashnola wiltet, hikkel snak silkte te mitwa, naar stram siu. His chwachse tlachapte te tum hulauch. His taklauch se tlachapte tum hulauch. En Ashnola mitwa nieuw toelauch. Sa titk tuk toelauch. Ska itk. Te kitsen wich toelmenatk. Naar te pikken. He siulk. Skakloos. Het hem hulauch. Ik was melk mich tuk een timmerla is kwak altijd. Het omente me silig te goed. Putiko ullos ul kwak wel mentem hikels nak silig het message leek een temig koyaat. Wij limnem te gaan, wij kom de ga is gelgald. Limnemt.
Wij gaan gehad die pies naxel. En ja, is kois kwint, want als melken mich, Ashnola kicken mut. Good afternoon, all of our relatives and our friends, our allies. This is our Ashnola Declaration. It's the first step in informing that the people need to take care of our own lands. Ashnola Declaration, the inherent jurisdiction of the Smelkamich. The Creator gave the inherent ancestral domain that defines Smelkamich cultural code and the disciplines passed from the Creator through our oral culture and history, defining laws, the responsibility, title, and rights as individuals, as community, and as a nation. The Smilkamich look beyond what's obvious, what's in front of us, towards underlying connections in the life forces of water, of land, of the Tamich, which is the water, the flying beings, the plant beings, and the under the earth beings, and the people. The Smilkamich will uphold our responsibility and will never cede our sovereignty. We, the Smilkamich, set out a plan through the songs of all living things. And what that means to us is when the Chaptik bring things into law, they sing the songs of the animal people. And so we're referring to those songs that they sing when they bring forth a declaration for some important work that lies ahead. The Smilkamich presence, connection to, and practice on our water and land is sacred. We uphold our spiritual obligations bestowed at the time of creation. We stand up our sovereignty and our laws for our ancestors, present and future generations. We commit to live in reciprocity from a place of giving and receiving with the people that we live with, within the cycle of our lands for all time. We uphold our responsibilities, our sovereign responsibilities to all of our water and lands, from Nchachanit headwaters and all that flow through in Melkate, the Smilkameen River watershed. We are guided by our Chaptik, which are the stories for the doctrine of transfer of our laws and the way that we work together as human beings on our lands. And the teachings embedded within our language. We're guided, we enforce our individual and collective sovereignty through extensive internal and external protocol systems. They include our oral traditional agreements. They include our protocols between our nations, which is a protocol of respect, where hard permissions are required to enter our territories. We stand behind the title and rights of one another in our territories, respecting the protocols within our areas and in our homelands. They include Coyote's law of sharing. And finally, they include the protection of our right to trade and the diplomatic immunity for our people to live and to benefit from our own lands. The trend of declining and mismanagement of biocultural diversity, our compromised forest health, toxic water contamination, and waste in the Smilkamich territory must be addressed and reversed through upholding our ancestral responsibilities. The Ashnola River sustains life, and it lies wholly within the Smilkamich territories. This sacred place provides for those who make their living from the land, in every season. The Ashnola is foundational to seasonal practices. It's a place of safety and sustenance for Smilkamich Ashnola people and the guests that are on our lands. The Ashnola is a place of connection. It's a great trade and migration route of historic and present cultural significance, linking the Smilkamich to the Tlimsu, which is the Stolo in the west, through the Pasayten and the Skagit, connecting the Ashnola to the Metwa, through the Metwa migration, where the Metau people are a part of us. So I'm really happy to see them here today. Merging the Smilkamich with the Syilx people at a critical juncture in our history. The Ashnola encompasses the Skalusip and Skalusip, which merges the Satikan, the Nichtulauch, which is the Satikan is Manning, the Nichtulauch is the Donut Hole area up in Manning, the Satit, which is the Pasayten, the Kwanesquait, which is the cathedral, the Skait, which is the Skagit, the Chukchanichtan, which is the Ross Lake area, and the Inmelkait. This river and creek system connects all of these waters that flow through our lands and through our trade and our migration of our people. And they've traveled those lands throughout our history. The Ashnola is an essential watershed. Its waters are the veins of the land, providing cold, pure water for the Tumhulauch and the Temich in a time of climate change and uncertainty and increasing water scarcity and threats from industry and development. Therefore, we, the Smilkameen, the Syilx people of the Smilkameen Valley, hereby declare the Ashnola Sinchachnit, the Ashnola watershed, in its entirety and for all future generations as Smilkameen protected and conserved area, dedicated in perpetuity to the protection of our water, our ancestors, our sacred beings, our Tumhulauch, and our climate in accordance with Smilkameen law. The maintenance and restoration of ecological and biocultural continuity through active Smilkameen management and teaching. The healing and the strengthening of the interconnected relationships of the water and the land and the Temich and the sacred beings and all guests as taught to us through the Chaptik. The spiritual, cultural, and physical sustenance of the Smilkameen people, including sustainable economic opportunities consistent with our responsibility in the Ashnola. We expect that all who interact within the Ashnola and all Smilkameen territory will take the necessary steps to bring themselves into good standing with the water, the land, the air, the life forces within all our sacred ecosystems in accordance with Smilkameen Syilx law. We'll work with our neighbors and we'll work with our visitors to our territory to inform and to guide them. In doing so, we honor the ancestral agreements for healing, protection, and restoration among the Temich.
You want to acknowledge the families?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So, Pauline, and I guess in doing so, we acknowledge those families that have been historically protectors of our lands. And we know that they have continued to do the work and to fight the battles. And we know and we hold those dear in our hearts.
Okay, so we'd like to acknowledge the families that are here, that has been here for the longest time and hold the gate, I guess, in some ways. The Dennis family, who have their cattle up there, the Trebasket family, who had their cattle up there, the McGinnises, the Qualtiers, and holy cow, I don't have to yell anymore. Maybe it's too late. But that's something that we have to stand up as Smilkameen people. And we have to understand that colonization started in 1876 with the Indian Act. So when we look at ourselves as Smilkameen people, it makes us sovereign. We look at the Prime Minister and the Premier talking about the rule of law. You know, what they're talking about is what they need to reconcile with is Section 25 of their constitution, the highest law on their land. And in there talks about the royal proclamation and how the crown can only be the ones that take up land. So with that, and section 35 is where we sort of get pushed because it's a long, arduous battle in courts. So we're changing that for us to look at our land and manage it. Food sovereignty right now in our territory is a huge thing. So that's all I have to say. Why limnam, why hasulhalt.
Why Loren and Robbo for
Oh, I was losing my hat.
reading out the declaration. And
Oh, my water.
Language translation. If you heard Robbo, much shorter.
I took my water. I thought I lost my hat.
So, it's just so wonderful that in hearing the translation that there's acknowledgement and invitation of our Sinkalit, acknowledgement of our laws through Chaptiu, through our stories that inform this work. Because when we think of Sinkalit, we think of all the trouble he got into by being curious. He didn't do that work by judging. And I think that's a really important concept when we gather. To be curious of the work, be curious of what's being shared, and don't judge it. That's the pathway Sinkalip went down that river with and came up the river and brought the salmon home. And that's our pathway to continue on with that work. So, Limlimt.
So, thank you for the reading. Thank you for bringing that forward, and you've heard it now. We're going to take this time. We're going to give a chance for the Dennis family to speak. If you want to send your representative up, as they're coming up here, I was just sitting back there and I was thinking about the Ashnola. I haven't shot or hunted the Ashnola since 2014. That was my last hunt up here was actually with my father. It was his final hunt with me. He passed away. It was September 9th. We shot a moose. He passed away on October 24th. That same year. So that was the last time I actually took anything off this mountain. I'm not saying I haven't been up there. I've been up there a few times, but there's nothing left. And that's one of the issues that we're seeing and that we need to remedy. How do we do that? That's where the planning is going to come into play. We need to look at, I see the flyover in Cathedral Lakes for a prime example. It needs fuel management. It needs to burn. It is in rough shape. There's so much blow down. I haven't been into the Haystack Lakes I can't even remember. It was got to be 20 years since I've been into there. And even back then, you're already starting to see the impacts. I remember coming out Urick Creek, swatting a horsefly, and then be able to hold that horsefly over the creek and fish would take it out of your hand. That's in my time. I'm not that old. And and I don't see that anymore. You don't see the numbers. There's something wrong, and we're hoping that, we got to start making change, and that's what this is about. I'm sorry, I'm just letting them come together. They're making their way up, bringing trees up. So once they're done with what they need to say, we are going to proceed with signing of the declaration. We're going to be calling our witnesses forward, and I just wanted to grant them the opportunity to have a voice.
Thank you, Chief Crow. Why Huskahalt Inchesquee Chuchuasket. Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Dennis. This is my aunt, Teresa Dennis, from the Robert Dennis family. And she's going to say a few words, and then I'll read off what we have to say. Thank you.
Why pisan ksilo? Lako ulos ol. Hast salahal tapna. Ik weet tala het knia. Ik weet het pitsenigel het is qailukhtan. Ai kisqulqilta ai is yeah. Why
Thank you, Auntie. Welcome, everybody. With a sad heart, my family's here from the Ashnola. We belong to the Lower Smelcombe Indian Band. We're Silik, but we are Ashnola. I'd like to thank the Chief and Council for all the work that they have done. I firmly believe in everything that they're talking about our water. As my family lives here and we protect it, we're pretty tough on people when they come into our yard. So I thank them for pushing this forward. At the end of the day, we actually have to work together, and there's a lot of work that we have to do. It's called consultation. And that's not just with you guys, the news, the province, the feds. It's with our families. So I'm just going to read off what we have to say, and then we're going to let you guys do what you guys are going to do. With a sad heart, on behalf of the late Robert Dennis and Henry Dennis family, this is a formal submission stating our position on the Ashnola Declaration. We are not in support of the initiative of this declaration and proceedings. First, we were not consulted. According to the official document, consultation must occur, and it referred to a meaningful engagement and meaningful consultation. The process not only is directly refers to truth and reconciliation of 94 calls to action and 46 articles of the United Nations Declaration on the rights of Indigenous people, UNDRIP, they call it. It is inclusive to all individual First Nation peoples in consultation with local governments, First Nation governments, the call to action, and our appeal to mobilize and level all governments, organizations, as well as individuals. We have not been consulted, the Dennis family. UNDRIP refers to maintenance of mutual respect relationships. It represents the minimum standard of survival, dignity, and well-being of Indigenous peoples. It has been less than 15 days in some circumstances, no notice of the signing of a Ashnola Declaration. The Lower Smelcombe Indian Band has not met the requirements of consultation with their own people. It references to a memorandum of understanding for purpose of National Park Reserve in the South Okanagan-Smelcombe region of British Columbia. And as most people know, I was a former chief in 05 to 09, and the national parks tried to come through here, and we kicked them out. The community, along with the government, municipalities, stood with us. The ranchers stood with us, and we fought the national park out. We don't want no national park. Number 27, Canada will fund to participate effectively in negotiations of establishing an agreement, participate in community engagement and consultation, and participate in public consultation. Communication section number 29, developing a communication protocol covering all communication regarding negotiations establishing of a provincial national park reserve, including release of this MOU. Number 30. The parties agree on an ongoing basis in order to convey updates and establishment process of the Protocol National Park Reserve. It clearly states the parties develop a communication plan including community engagement and consultation. The Dennis family have not been consulted in a meaningful engagement process. We became aware of this draft itinerary circulating and distributed to some LSIB community members. There has been zero meaningful consultation with us. The Dennis family, we are the inherent people of the Ashnola. We continue to hold certified position in the Ashnola, the CP holders. We, the inherent CP holders, specifically the Robert and Henry Dennis descendants, have not given the Lower Smilcombe Indian nor any other body direction to proceed with this initiative, the MOU, nor in the ingredients with the Ashnola Declaration. As stated in fine print at the bottom of the page 1 of the proposed declaration, for Purpose National Park Reserve in the South Oakland-Smilcombe region of British Columbia. The process in accordance to the title and rights has not been upheld, and since this jurisdictional matter is with careful consideration that we abide by our governance as a nation. Furthermore, a select few have been directing this process without prior consent from all LSIB members. As original people of the Ashnola, and until the declaration has been made as a whole by all, we will not forge ahead with the Ashnola Declaration. In the best interest of all First Nations in British Columbia, precedents will not be set on our behalf, as the declaration may set a standard of practice, and it has not been approved by the majority of the membership of LSIB. Until this has been clarified, properly consulted, reviewed, confirmed, and agreed upon by all parties, including the CP holders of the Ashnola, we will only acknowledge the presence agreement with the Government of British Columbia, the Government of Canada, and the local governments. We interpret this action as, in quotes, soft sell plan, a process of gradualism, implementing the policies wherever, whenever the Government of Canada can. The idea is the dampening down of the highly violated atmosphere of confrontation, end quote. Quote, present leaders must reassess seriously their position and their motive in occupying them. They must learn to put the interests of their people above their own personal needs and desires. Consequently, forces of the federal government, and to too many instances, still are able to divide our people by skillful catering to the psychology needs of some of them. Until all our leaders have learned to subordinate personal ambitions to their people's wishes, the Indians of Canada will remain weak and divided. End quote. The Unjust Society by Harold Cardinal. For further reference, please carefully review the principles of the reconciliation that also applies to the First Nation governance in accordance to their own membership. Without meaningful consultation and meaningful engagement, do not sign the Ashnola Declaration, respectfully in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. The late Robert and Henry Dennis family, the original CP holders of the Ashnola, I thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. I'm not here to be causing trouble. I'm here to stand up for my family of the Ashnola. We're the Ashnola people. We're one of the originals beside the McGinnises. Christine wanted me to say that she was not approving this. She phoned me last night. So it's not a personal vendetta. It's standing up because we need to be part of the process too. everybody needs to be part of the process if we want to stop all this stuff that's going up the Ashnola, the Olalla, everywhere in the Smelcombe Valley. I don't want to, and I will never sign a national park reserve. That just takes the title away from our land. Parks is no way to go. But I thank the chief and council for doing what they're doing. I believe in everything that they have written, but we weren't consulted. So that's why we're here. And I thank you very much for your time and patience. Limlimt from my family, the Dennises.
A testament of the work in terms of our relationships between one another, not only within our families, but in our communities and in our nations. Underscoring this journey that we're on, this pathway that we're on, to truly live a good way and a good life so we can better care for our lands and waters and not be distracted in ways in which take us away from those responsibilities. When I think of the declaration, this is the formal part that you've all been a part of. What's universal in Indigenous country is ceremony. We're going to acknowledge the work. I'm looking out at our elders here. Teresa Ann, Mary Lou, Tony, Gloria, Elaine, our guests that consider themselves elders or seniors. They've seen a lifetime of this work and this conversation, and they're still here with us. They're still listening. They're still guiding and advising, even as Teresa Dennis, elder from the Dennis family, was here with us, from Mkamapalaks, still contributing, even with her health the way it is. And that's where we need focus and prayer and ceremony for them, for they've carried us here. St. Calip talked about, in the Declaration translation, if you think about his work, brought transformation. The difficulty, the conflict, the disagreement that he caused sometimes, brought to our attention, had the faith and hope and knowing that we would come together for the people to be. St. Calip was thinking of us. They knew we were coming, the two-legged. They were thinking of us, transforming, shape-shifting, being the best you can be. That's what continues to give me purpose on a very personal note. The family spoke of the Ashnola and my family, all our families. Makes me melancholy, brings that in, because many of them are gone. So with that, the ceremony begins. Diawan? Tanisha?
So we're also, while Tanisha's getting set up and ready, we're going to call up the witnesses if we can. So I'd like to call from the south, Andy Joseph and Elaine Emerson. From the north, we're going to ask Dan Wilson if he'd be willing to come up and witness. From the west, Mike Allison, if he's willing to come up. And from the east, Roger Hall. I'm going to kind of put you out there, but if you're willing to come up and witness.
Yeah. Limlam Chief, the ceremony has officially begun. So I call upon you to continue to pay attention. They're calling in the songs. As you'll see in the declaration, the songs of all living things. So we're calling them in.
White lim lim.
Our witnesses are here. The ceremony begins. Chief and Council want to acknowledge the families and give the gifts and honoring of you witnessing this today, acknowledging all the people that live here, that have been from this place. This place was never vacant. It was a home. It provided, it fed since time immemorial. And we are the descendants of that. And so, Lauren.
So our process when we are undertaking something of this significance on behalf of the land and the water, and this event, just like any cultural events or cultural processes within our territory, we have folks that we ask that they might come forward and witness that this event has happened, so that any time in future or in history that they can be brought to say, yes, this event happened. Yes, this declaration happened on behalf of the land, on behalf of the water, and to acknowledge those words. They may be in support or they may not be in support, but the witnessing of it is a really important piece of the work that we do culturally among the people. And it's a part of how we've done things historically and how we're doing things today. And it is important, it is important that we talk and speak to and we allow folks who have discordant views. Those are important as well. And our people have never shied away from that. And so we're asking these folks to basically to witness, to sign, to say, yes, they were here, and yes, they understand the importance of protecting the water and the land for all living beings. And so I know that Dan had said that if he was going to be a witness, that he would like to say a few words. So we're asking at this time for these young folks to blanket our witnesses that have agreed, and this is our way, and that blanket is a acknowledgement that they've been here and that they understand the importance for the land and for the water. And so we're asking these young folks to do that.
Kewa. Why has gehad in chai squis I walks or kent it choy to la sutim in mistem sukna clean to tkuratman or in tomb smetho or can chkoyapana atli a haitem kula wake a mips smetho. Koi ikali or kwe itako it lats mok or he in tomb item kulaks or chek tan we a la. Ja, ik chwiplaten se ja te he chu chow se chek tan we a la. Alle koos naksil. Or la tale can lim can chwe today. La or Wickenton lot is naksil. Kiwa or la ja ik come at he it's chunam. Right.
Right.
Limptes busken wickenchenes biayat, you hutken squeezed. I just want to say I'm really grateful. My name in our language is Badger, and makes my heart happy to see you here today. You know, and my English name is Andrew Joseph Jr. And when I come back here, it's coming home to me because the blood that goes through my veins is here also with my snuksil. Just like the water that flows down through this Smilk Main makes it all the way to the big water through our territory, and the 12 tribes of the Colville down through the Columbia. You know, as chairman of our tribe of the Colville, and also with that, you know, one of our tribes. Some of you heard of the Dizitil case and the Snipes. I carry that title as well to chair the Snipes Confederacy. And I just want to share that with you. I really believe that what you're doing here today is something good. You know, taking care of the land. That was always taught to me as a young boy from my childhood. Growing up and even coming here up this way and being in ceremonies in the Quilston in a winter dance. I've sat on the mountains up here and prayed for all of our people and not very far from here something very special happened to me as a young man, and you know, when you can hear that song and it brings you to the water. I was always told as a young boy, go to the water, and for some reason I was always the water boy at the winter dances, and now I know why, and I just want to share that's very important. One of my elders told me, his name was Sinpak Chin. There's an answer for every question. There's a cure for every sickness. But in Itlak way, he was telling me it's up to you to find out what that is. So I went up on a mountain and I asked the questions. or went to the water, and part of the question was answered. So my prayers will be for all of our people here, that you'll be able to protect our land. I believe every one of us has a reason for being, and part of what's going on with today's world is, I believe, the tumhula is like when you spin a top and it starts wobbling as it's slowing down, that you see all the different weather patterns, the different things happening. We're having floods, we're having fires, we're having drought, and the hottest summers I've ever seen in my lifetime. But it's up to us as the caretakers of the tumhula to do like we're doing here today. But we need to get back to teaching our children, what to guide them and bring them to figure out what their purpose in life is here. And if we do that, then the tumhula will spin like it's supposed to. And until we do that, as caretakers of the land, I believe things can get really hard. So our actions today will help 7 generations from now, and that's very important. So my message would be to work with our children and prepare them so that they can do as our elders did for us. Wai'ihi, wailimlim.
Limlimt. Dan Wilson. Wow, nice blanket.
Excuse my poor insultion. I wasn't raised in our language. I was raised by my grandmother, Sophie Wilson, who was a devout Catholic, and she felt it very important that I be raised with a good education and be able to speak good English, in her words. She said that if you had an Indian accent back in her day, that you could even get a job picking cherries or apples in those days. So that's why she felt it important that I learned English, and she stressed the importance of education, and that's why I went on to earn a law degree in 1997 from UBC. So I'm just basically a child in our language and culture. I'm just learning from my mother, Eleanor Eli, who I talk to a lot, and she corrects me a lot. So I'm very thankful for that, because sometimes when you're educated in the Sama system, you can be, as some of my aunts say, too educated. So anyways, I just want to say why hustle halt. Echa squeezed Nasapasas, Kentel and Kamapalaks. My Sama name is Daniel Anthony Wilson. I have family that originally from here. My great-grandmother, Catherine Lewis, was a member of the Qualtier family here. Also have family members from the Colville tribe. My grandfather, Casimir Tanaska. Oh. I don't think that's a good sign, do you? Last time I had a blanket on, I was running around as Superman when I was a kid. So, anyways, to carry on, I have spent some time here. I was chief for the Okanagan Indian Band from 1999 to 2003. And while I was chief, when I first got in as chief, I was driving through Karamias, and I come across Glenn Douglas. He was just coming out of one of the band offices there in Karamias. I don't know if it was upper or lower, but anyways, he spotted me and he hollered, and I pulled over, and he invited me to stay at his place up here at Ashnola. So after he finished work at the Analkan Center, and I jumped in with him, And we come up, and I spent the night with him and his pack of wolves. Really was quite interesting. We talked late into the night, and Glenn was also an interpreter for a highly respected elder, Tommy Gregory, also known as Tommy Gregoire. But I've always known him as Tommy Gregory. And Tommy would really lecture me. And if you'll just bear with me, I think this is really important. I was chair of the ONA, Okanagan Nation Alliance, back then as well. And the elders would have a Wednesday luncheon at New Horizons at 6 Mile. So I stopped in there and had lunch with them. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. And I was informing them about the latest ONA meeting that we had. And he was sitting with Dave Parker Sr., and I think Edward Fred was there as well. And all of a sudden, they stopped me in my tracks, and they said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I'm just reporting about the meeting. I come from the Okanagan Nation Alliance. I'm the chairperson there." And Tommy and Dave Parker Sr. looked at me, and they both said at just about the same time. They said, "There's no such thing." And I said, "What do you mean?" I'm talking about the Okanagan Nation. I said, "No such thing." And that ever set me back. You know, it was one of those moments where I was too educated again. And so they explained to me. They said, "No, we're the Syilx Nation. And we're the Syilx Nation because we speak in Tsiltchin. The French speak French, the English speak English, the Spanish speak Spanish, and that's why we're the Syilx Nation. And we were united in our whole territory before the 49th parallel was put there. And we defended our territory in common because we always had to look out for invasions from the Cree to the north, the Blackfoot to the east, and the Aztecs to the south, who were slave raiders. So we're talking a long time back. And we had our allies, the interior allied tribes with the Shuswap and the Chilcotin and the Entlakapmuk and the Statlium. And refer to ourselves as the interior allied tribes. And if you want to, I guess you could say Spence's Bridge was our capital, because that's what I was told by Tommy and Glenn. That's where we had our big meetings when the Interior Alliance would meet, was there. So we have a long tradition of our people before the border was put in. And I was proud to say that I attended the trial, the Dizitel trial, where Richard Dizitel from the Colville Sinaiks fought and went to the Supreme Court of Canada, and then the Supreme Court of Canada declared that the Sinaiks are not extinct. So I've been around for a while. I'm only 62, but I was raised by my grandmother, and she was the head of the Ladies Club or Homemakers Club back then in our community, and they got the Round Lake Treatment Center started, for example, among other good projects. So I was always politically involved when I was, ever since I was a little guy. So, but anyways, you know, I'm glad to be here. I just found out about it just the other day. My sluck, Rob Edwards, told me about it, and I said, "What's the IP?" How do you pronounce that again? What's Indigenous Protected Area? Yes. And he was telling me about it. I said, "Wow." I said, and he said, "Well, come on down." And I said, "Well, it's short notice, and so I don't have permission from my chief and council to be here. So I could only attend as an individual sovereign Syilx person." And he said, "Well, come on down." So that's why I'm here. And I was so surprised that I'm being called up here today. And I really respect my elder, Teresa Dennis, you know, pretty close to that family. And I didn't know that they had those views before I got here. So, you know, and I respect that, and I respect their views. And the reason I'm up here is because, you know, they said that they respect what's going on here. They just weren't properly consulted, is my understanding. And so I don't want to step on any toes or cause any division within the Ashnola community here. But I felt that, you know, I always listen to my inner voice. My inner voice said, "Well, you need to be up here, you need to be saying a few words." Because I sense a real strong movement here. And to me, talk about our sovereignty, I'm totally in agreement with that. because I was taught by my elders that we never surrendered. We were always classified as allies of the crown, going right back to 1763, the Royal Proclamation of 1763. That's why it's embedded in the Canadian Constitution under Section 25. And I was taught that by my elders, Tommy Gregory and Glenn Douglas. And Glenn was a very highly educated man. He fought in World War II, the Korean War and the Vietnam War for the Americans. He told me he signed up for the Americans because he was too young to sign up for the Canadians during World War II. But the Americans accepted him, and that's how come he fought for the Americans on the Allied side. So, you know, that allied relationship, there's a big difference between being an ally and a subject, if you think about it. When you're ally, you're on par, you're equal with your ally, and you're working together. So that's why Tommy always said, never let them say that we've been a defeated people. How can you defeat an ally? That's the worst kind of treachery there is, he would say. And he also said, don't forget how we got put on these reserves, because our numbers became thinned through the smallpox epidemic. And we're going through a pandemic right now. And, you know, so we realize how much of effect that could have on everybody. And it looks like we're kind of through this pandemic, but I don't know, you hear different sides. But anyways, I'm glad to see everybody practicing social distancing and keeping everyone safe. So just to end here, I sense a presence here. It's been said that Dan Wilson can never give a short speech. But anyways, I just want to make it clear that I'm here as a sovereign Syilx person. I'm not here as a member of the Chief and Council of the Okanagan Indian Band. And just in closing, we have our feet in two different worlds here. We have one foot in the Indian Reserve System that we never agreed to. It was imposed upon us. But we also have our foot in our traditional territory. According to the Delgamuukw decision in 1997, Aboriginal title still exists. It has not been extinguished. So we are still sovereign. White Limlam.
Thank you, Dan, for sharing. Mike Allison.
Why, in Jai Squeezed Pualakan. Good morning. My name is Mike Allison. I'm a counselor for the Upper Smelkameen. This is a very momentous day for me. For over 60 years, you know, I've been witnessing government's protection plans. They're, you know, going to save the animals. We're going to protect the water. The only thing I've ever really seen is them protect their dollar. The life and water actually means nothing to them, but as long as they got their dollar involved, that's what's important. And the Syilx point of view, we know that that environment gives us life, provides everything for us. And, you know, our country wouldn't be in the state it's in right now if it was ran more like the Syilx way. Our feelings towards the land are different. We feel things. We don't just look at them and observe them. We actually feel them. So by taking over this area and rehabilitating it, the children are going to be able to use quilt shooting's tools and put this land back together. It'll be safe and it'll be there for all to use. At the rate we're going now, it's hurtful to drive up to the end of this road. When I was a kid, it was such a beautiful place. And it can be again. It's just a lot of determination and hard work from our people. And standing up for what we believe in is going to be the biggest part of it. So I'm so happy and proud to see what's going on here today. And I hope this is a first step in many more to come to protecting this beautiful land of ours. Thank you for bringing me here today. Thank you.
Lim Mike. Last but not least, over from the east, Roger Hall.
Why hartstikke pisnaxil? Why koos kitchen limt siap? Huma in kunkwelten in sliplement. Die squeeze toestens kuntul in takum wilton in Clacklahap. Alice Baptiste George till in Kamip. Roger Hall, Senior from Upper Nicola. It's my father. Martin Louis. Inchilium is one of my grandfathers. I just want to welcome the in Clacklahap. Is slagslacht. Heel michum dit. Suk quinamams. Lemlem. As is today, the play in where our children play are much different than where I played. Yeah. The numbers of salmon in the rivers are depleted. Our children don't see that many salmon anymore. The number of deer up on the mountains that I saw, our children don't see that. What our children see are parks with needles. And today our people cough and aspire to become clean again on our lands. That the Queen gave us lands and pencils to make marks on the maps and divide us. I aspire to become small, humble, try to be humble. While you endeavor your walks on this land as Siil people. Why hast at school is Naksil? All the good work that you're doing on this land and the water. But every day that we take another step on this land, it's a step of uncertainty that where we're going. Had this land been filled with oil, who would be here talking to us right now? It's the oil barons fighting for oil to make money, like our brother's saying here today. And I don't think it ever was about the money. I can bet my bingo or my casino entrance fee that it wasn't about the money. It is about the land, our people, the water, the animals, our way of life. It's about bringing back the integrity of our people that were in the residential school system. And please forgive me about my heart being so inclusive about compassion when I talk about our people, about our children, and about the signs that are being erected on the roads today and people standing up to protect the water and the lands and the environment. But today it's not just about the red people. It's also about the white people, the yellow people, and the black people, because the water's polluted there as well. The salmon need to go to the ocean to replenish ourselves and to come all the way back up the polluted, plastic-filled rivers today. And still they fight to get here, to bring us food. So every time you try to fight about the water, the land, the plants, the animals, in your way of life, I ask that our Klachlahap, our ancestors are here to help us along on our journey. And that my words be able to hear our relatives.
We're honoring the witnesses. That ceremony is done. Their words have been spoken, their hearts shared. And we're preparing for the signing. Two beats, and we're honoring our witnesses here and the words they shared. And then I'll be calling them up to sign after the chief and council. Tara's going to guide now our witnesses who are invited to sign the declaration. Tara? Yes. And we invite our elders up to follow our witnesses. As I understand, if they wish to put their mark on the declarations this day. Our Natamkin school children, our local band school, is handing out gifts to all of you that witnessed. Thank you once again. We're have another part of our agenda to acknowledge some of our dignitaries that are here today, to have them share a few words. And then we will be feasting. I know it's difficult, it's past lunch, so I thank you for your patience.
Do you want to?
Sorry, go ahead.
Just for those that I'm going to call up, Chief Greg Gabriel, Steve Basil, your uncle's name was shared today, so I'm going to be calling you up after Chief Greg Gabriel to share a few words.
Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Keith?
Could we borrow you for just a moment? Yeah. Hi.
As a witness. Okay.
Are you available just to do a couple questions right now? Perfect. Let's just step back here.
The questions and answers are coming.
I just ask you to bear some patience, and as soon as our elders finish signing, I'd ask you to provide your attention to our guests today as they share a few words. I got another sign here, so I'm going to ask Chief Gabriel to step up and share on behalf of the Penticton Indian Band and his community and himself.
I hustle help. I speak Nixil. Chai squeezed Celtican. It'll make them Quintels and Pinkton. Good afternoon, and my introduction is my name is Greg Gabriel. I'm the current chief of the Penticton Indian Band. And I bring greetings from our community, from our council, and from our members. First, I'd like to thank and acknowledge our elder for the prayer. It's always a good way to start these types of events. We always need to have that done first. I'm really happy and grateful for getting the invitation to attend today's significant and historic event. I do believe our ancestors are smiling down upon us. Just for the fact that however you want to look at this event, the intent is to protect our land and everything that's on it. And I stand behind that. In fact, I could feel my late mother, Louise Gabriel, her presence at today's event. As a young man, I too traveled this road. I hunted with the late elder George McGinnis. He would get me up at 4 in the morning, drag me out of bed, and away we would go. He took me out to his trap lines, and we spent the whole day in this beautiful land. And I will never forget that. Over the years, I do come back, and I do notice the changes to the landscape. And it's different, there's no doubt. When we come together as Silks people, we will have different thoughts and opinions on the things that we do, and that's okay. As Silks people, we need to listen to one another and accept what they say, but the good work has to carry on, and the good work, especially for this, the intent has to carry on. We need to do whatever we need to do to protect this beautiful land. For the couple of years that I did work with the Lower Smilkameen Band. I got to know, how dedicated and committed some of the people, some of my relatives, some of my friends, and their passion for the work that they put into doing these types of things. Rob Edwards, Lauren, Gwen Bridge, if she's here, their elders and ancestors that stood behind them to get to where we are today. So I really need to acknowledge them and take my hat off to them, the council that supported them. It is a significant event, and I'm really glad to be here and be part of this. So I limlim. Thank you very much.
Steve. Soon as Steve is done, any others that want to sign are welcome. And we'll be saying a prayer for our lunch, and we will be fed. It's all getting prepared.
Cooksham, Steve Basil in Squash, Sloughtowers and Slackwin. My name is Steve Basil. I'm raised in Shuswap territory. My mom was Mary Jane Basil, and my dad was Lawrence Squawkin from Headley area. So I got family throughout the whole area here. My late Uncle Glenn was part of the struggle and all of the work that was happening in the territory. From a very young age, I was taught and trained to work with the land, people, and for the protection of all, and to make sure that our young ones and the ones yet to come have something that they can enjoy, and that is the land, the animals, the water, everything that's there, all the plants, to respect all of that, and to participate in ceremonies, and to support and to work with people in moving forward. And those are some of the things that, that we're here for today. The river that's going by here,
You know, that's a lifeline, you know, that gives life to animals, trees, plants, everything, ourselves, and keeps us moving forward in a good way, in a healthy way. All my life I fought and worked with Indian organizations all over British Columbia and across Canada, and traveled all over the United States and working with people in protecting and looking after the land and participating in activities that sometimes weren't seen as very good by a lot of people, not understanding the reasons why we stood up and we fought and we took over possession of territories for the people in support of everything that's there. We went, a lot of us went to jail, a lot of us went to, through different things, all for the protection of the land and for the people and the yet unborn. That's what our ancestors did for us. That's why we're here today. They fought hard. They lived hard in a different lifetime, which was more difficult than I think today, but plentiful in a way of game, fish, water, fresh water, and the plants, life, all of the plants, the berries, the roots, everything that provided us with food was plentiful. And today we have to go a long ways in order to get some of those foods that we need in our daily diet, and some of us don't get enough of it. And working together as individuals within our territories and within our nations, working with other people, you know, and giving an understanding of how things should go and how things could go, and to stand together so that all of us can enjoy what we have left today. You know, it's important, you know, for us to be doing what's being done here, the signing of this declaration, you know, in protection of the watershed and protection of all animals in the territory. So, you know, I just happen to be in the territory today. This is part of my territory as well, the Shuswap and the Okanagan. You know, I have that responsibility as an individual and the teachings to look after and to stand up for all of the things that need to be looked after. And that's something that I uphold, you know, and everywhere I go, you know, I stand with the people that are looking to keep moving forward in a good way for our children and for the ones yet to be born. You know, we want to make sure that they have something. So I thank you for the time today given to me to stand up and say a few words and to also to be here. You know, this is a really important area here because our people come here for ceremony, a social gathering. We haven't been able to do that for a couple of years, but this year I think that's going to happen. So, you know, it made us stronger, you know, in the work that we do. So our nations and our people are working strong and hard so that we can maintain the direction in moving forward. Kukshem, why does...
Limlimt pesen xelo in chais Christ terminals atlaken te skelo atlain khap ki kuleutel in schachpa kumtchen matlan lutaxen kalus Christ os lutigit as mistin is Chris nacham he kicken good achstis. Legi in chout. They went like sappy. Niamen is in xil to kakal missile hitum hula. A heisen goldet. Lutpen ken kot a haastem. Lutpen ken kot a huichtem to steam. Tahiko salalan tim. As he hicks Sin Pulachtintet, Co Chuntum, he some Shama, Co Kitchentum, Co Kaliachan team. Uslapna, Putti goes Kaliach team. Waha Hatali has this schoolsel, he's scolded it, Hokalmintum. As he shouted, Ko Yayati, Ko Scale, Lutpenkin, Ko Codex, Quillach, Malchutel, Waili. In San Apkin, Ikinlats, Quillwis, Mr. Quil Quillman. And he and Pakpex, he la sketches it. He looked at lat at him full axel. Asli, Shamal, Tehulia, Ya to quickly to Tihulam is Kalo. Ole he de wine sketches it. Naham he Shama, he lil mihum, Chutel Hahayati steam, he hast school to Melquintum. He is Chowchel. Thank you for listening to me. I'm just saying that my grandparents were never paid for the land. They were overruled by them. The white people came, they said, well, they conquered the land. They're still visitors. They'll always be visitors. You guys got to remember that. They'll always be visitors with acceptance by our hearts. Today, the world is in trouble. We also have to think about that too. And with that, Limland Concerton, Halako Ulos, Gantami Timhula, Gantamis Namimata, Yayat, is in Xiluchtet, Yayat is Kelo. Hey, Stikel, Ikos Amans, Hetel Timhula, Kiko Whitseltem. Lord de Samago de Golstem, Hetel Timhula, Kitchwoy. Ole Shiork, he has Kachsam Apna. Kechwentem, Cook Yachanam, Chutlut New, Lee Stimson, Quit Quisel, since Quit Quisel, Kissel. He is Limland.
Okay. The elder has spoken. It's time to eat. So please make your way that way. Tara invited people, witnesses, reminded that the gifts that were given by our children is honoring each and every one of you for being here today. The ceremony itself, with that and with the feast, is then concluded. And so our beautiful singers are going to, sing while more witness where these beautiful young ladies are, and as well make your way to get some lunch. Lim limped, everyone, lim limped. Socialize. Visit one another. It's going to be, if you see over there where the lunch table is,
think I spoke enough today, but just as my closing remarks, I just want to thank everyone for attending and being here. It is a good day. There's a lot more work to do. Next step is planning. The planning piece is going to be lots of hard work, lots of negotiation, and lots of discussion. But it is for the better. We are looking at our water, we're looking at our animals, we're looking at the land, Tula, in entirety. I'm looking forward to seeing what we leave for our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. I'm hoping that they have the experiences that I was able to have as I grew up. Lim lim, everybody. Enjoy your lunch.
Like a wall? Like how we did the blanket thing?